All right, everybody, welcome back to the Unsealed Podcast, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher Anti is me. You are you, like T-Rex, already ready to rock with the popcorn. Awesome. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we welcome you. We thank you. We welcome questions and comments as always, but to be a little different today. As always, wanted to make you aware that yes, this is brought to you by you. So if you enjoy it, please like and share at minimum on the Wings of the Eagle YouTube channel. That would be extremely helpful. Get someone else to maybe see it, pick it up, suggest it to someone else. That's fantastic and definitely is valuable. And if you wanted to become a member, there's a button for that here on YouTube, as well as the X platform that I have you see below, Manti4 right there, MANTEI4. And of course, we have all our episodes up on Spotify and all that stuff going way back now. So who knows when? I forget already. Okay. So we don't usually do interviews here. And that's on purpose. Because even though it's fun and we can do it and people enjoy it, it's hard work. And it takes a lot of energy and hours to arrange that, put it together, get the folks who are willing to come on and the back and forth of all that. Anyway, so I choose not to do that the vast majority of the time, except for today. And for a couple of weeks or months now, she can remind me. I thought it would be a good idea to introduce you to my friend and a sister in the Lord and a fellow traveler in the UFO world. Has always been fascinated by it and so forth, but we'll ask her about it. And you may see her on YouTube and other social media sites as Bond Servant. In fact, she's there right now. She's everywhere. She can't. That's what I always comment about her, because she is everywhere. It seems like. And yes, she has her own life. And yes, she has a business and all that. So let's bring her on with you to talk about yet another Christian UFO encounter. There's our sister Laura.
Hey, guys.
How are you doing, Miami?
Doing okay. It's a brisk morning this morning.
A little brisk. Yeah, so she's out by the Rockies out there. And, feel free to disclose what you want about all that. You don't have to say anything more, but I just, folks who have watched or paid attention for quite a while now know that you are around all of this stuff and are very serious about these types of things. Obviously, you love the Lord. And in this, like me, you're a science fiction fan, and right. And that's just always been an exciting, fascinating thing to think about. And this UFO issue was kind of cool and whatnot. But you really never had a personal encounter.
Not till recently.
Until recently, which is why we're here together, because I wanted you to tell your story in your own words about what exactly had happened. Go into as much detail as you want, and with the reality in mind that, again, we're kind of in two different worlds of audiences, right? You have one side who already thinks this is a real thing and is very, open or accepting of what happened or what you saw. And then the other side is basically the Christian side, which is not usually not only not accepting, but doesn't really believe it's real or it's some kind of trick. And so real believers aren't supposed to be involved in this stuff or whatever. So you got those two forces out there. Anyway, so what happened exactly? And tell folks whatever you want to about, yourself and a background if you'd like. But I'll just leave it real short and say, if you all are familiar with the Jesus People era and movement, maybe you saw the movie or whatever. What did they call that movie? I forget.
Jesus Revolution.
Jesus Revolution. Thank you.
We called it the Jesus Peoples.
There you go. That's much more peaceful sounding.
Mm-hmm.
Actually. We don't need no revolution. Anyways, so Miss Laura came out of that. That's her experience, and she was one of those folks. And so that's her background. So you go and tell whatever you want, and then whatever happened to you on that particular day, and all that went along with it.
Okay, well, I've loved science fiction pretty much my whole life. I'm a Trekkie, love Star Trek, and probably seen every single movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, everything. I was always fascinated with all that. And as a Christian, I knew stuff was going on, but nobody ever had any answers. And I didn't think too much more about it because I figured if it's going to come out, it's going to come out. That was my attitude. But I really like sci-fi. I especially like the technical sci-fi, like Isaac Asimov and that kind of part of it. I'm not into the fantasy really that much. It's fun to watch, but I want to know why things work. That's just kind of the way I am. And even in the Jesus People movement, I remember, people would have these like visions and all that, or they would see stuff. And I was actually in a group at a lake up in Minnesota as a teenager. And it was a beautiful, beautiful summer night. And all of a sudden somebody yells out, "Hey, look at that. There's a UFO in the sky." Now, we didn't have all the satellites like we have today. We weren't near the airport. We were out in the middle of nowhere. And so everybody's looking at, I think there were like 3 or 4 things, orbs or whatever going around. Problem was, I didn't see anything. And I wear glasses now, but I had perfect eyesight. I did not see anything. I did not know what they were talking about. I thought maybe there was a meteor or something. I was looking. I didn't see it. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird. But it also planted a thought in my mind that maybe these last, I don't know, decade or so, and especially since this past December, where people are seeing them, and I'm only seeing them online by video. Now, I live in Colorado Springs. NORAD is like 3 miles away from me, right over yonder. And you would think I would see a bunch of weird stuff. Nope, I don't. However, there have been recently, I think was, I guess it was December, was the last sighting. Somebody near NORAD did catch, but it was facing more towards the east, and I think it was east and slightly south. So it's all open field and everything. No city, no nothing. And they were in the city, but they saw it that direction. And they saw an amazing cluster of orbs, or whatever you want to call it. Very, very, very high up. And I'm always outside looking. Nothing. And I didn't see it that night. I think I must have gone to bed already because it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night, I guess. Well, anyway, a few weeks ago, was it been a month, I think? Now, when I go to bed, when I hit the hay, I'm out. It takes a lot to wake me up, unless I hear something really strange, then I'll wake up. But so I was sound asleep, 2:30 in the morning, and this light shines in. Now, my bed is like this, the wall's here, and the window's right here. So I do not have, like, if a spotlight or whatever would shine in, there's no way I would see it. But through the blind, I should have brought my picture, but through the blind, I had a spotlight right smack in my face, and it woke me up with a start, that's never happened before. And so I peeked out the blind because I thought, well, somebody driving up in the yard or neighbor's yard or something, like a truck or whatever, because we just had new neighbors. And nope, there was nothing. But what I did see was, it's like my house is like this. I'm looking up this way, and down here is the end of the road. And at the end of the road, there's no street lamp or anything. We have a lot of construction going on, very dark, and there's the Patty Jewett golf course right down at the end of the road. And I see this huge, bright, like spotlight light. What the heck is that? And it was happening so fast. My phone was on the charger. I would not have had time to go in the other room and grab my phone. It would have been an awesome video. But I'm looking at this light, But then it begins to change into this amber, beautiful golden amber color. And it was just a big globy thing. But by the time I sat up to see, because I think the spotlight or the white light, I think it was closer to my window, or at least in my yard. But when I sat up to look through the blind, it was above the trees, or right at the height of the trees at the end of the road. And the end of the road is like three houses down. And so I'm looking at this, and it's, if you've seen some of the videos, some of them were talking about the Ezekiel thing, and they see wheel in a wheel. This globe, this golden globe, it was like a wheel within a wheel. That's what it looked like to me. It was going like round and round, but it looked like this. And it was big. It looked like it must have been where it was with the trees. It looked like it had to be the size of a small bus or something like that. It was big. But I wasn't afraid, because as I looked at it, I thought it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I mean, it was amazing. But it started up kind of white, but not like those bluish white lights. It was just white, brilliant white. And then when I sat up and got myself situated a little closer, because I wanted to go outside and catch a video of it, and there it was at the tree line, and it was big. It was still big, and it was doing this thing. But you know what? I could have sworn I felt a presence, but I felt good. I wasn't freaked out. It was like I really wanted to talk to it. I mean, because it felt normal to me to see it. And I kept thinking about Enoch, and I kept thinking about all these different things, and it all happened in like about maybe a couple of minutes. That's how quick it was. Then what it did was, I'm looking at this, just thinking, I've been wanting to see something like this my whole life. And then it began to look, I don't know if it was just the way the light was, but it looked like it went like a little bit like this and disappeared. Literally disappeared. Boom. It didn't go this way, up, down. It was just gone. So got up, grabbed my phone, went outside to the front, waited and waited and looked and looked and waited. I didn't see it again. And I would love to see it again, because I thought it was awesome. And then you texted me. When I texted you, then you asked me, what, a day or so later or something, do you have any feelings, or do you feel like you've been touched or changed or something, or losing sleep? Nope, nothing.
Yeah.
It was the most beautiful experience. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I asked you, right, any positive or negative, any change, anything at all, and you're like, no. Other than it was really awesome.
It was,
It was
and it was big. It was really big.
Because I was gonna clarify that end of it, because some folks, I mean, I guess it runs the gamut, but those things sometimes are known to be, or claimed to be, very small, like a basketball or something, but then sometimes they're humongous, like pretty much like what you're saying, that you were basically judging for how far away you thought it was and
Yep.
what was near it and stuff. Yeah.
I think Karen just said she has the picture.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said that we can show these pictures. Did you draw something at some point? Was that what you meant, or just the photos of like your street?
No, the photos. Like if you pull up the end of the street where the trees are, at
Do
there's
you want me
like,
to share those? I
yeah,
can share those. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
I can tell you where it was.
Yeah. Let me get that so we can put it on the screen here for the folks. And go ahead. You can describe what you were saying there, and then.
Well, when I saw it, because like the trees are right where the golf course begins. There's the road, and then the other side is a fence and the golf course. And the trees, there's like, you'll see on the right side of the photo, you'll see the evergreen tree on the far right, and then you see the trees on the left. Okay, so go below the evergreen to the twiggy looking trees. Between those two sets of trees, that looks like a little hole area, you know, before the skyline or the tree line in the back. That's where I saw it. It was right there in between those medium-sized trees, and it was just there, and it was huge. But it covered from the trees to the trees on both sides. So it, to me, my perception was that was like as big as a commuter bus or a small bus, not real small, but not a school bus.
Still pretty big.
Yeah, it was just really big. But when it was moving, it was like the light was around it, but it was moving in the center, and it definitely filled up that gap between the trees above the back tree line. It right in there, and it literally moved. And like I said, it was only for a few minutes, and I couldn't get my phone, but I can't say I saw a face or anything, but I did feel a presence. There was no question. And I wasn't afraid or anything. I was kind of hoping it would morph into an angel or something.
That would have been nice, right?
Funny what you think, you know? Yeah, there's my blind.
Yeah, that's like you're saying. Your bed's like right there, and
Yeah.
then the window's right there.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a neighbor across the street. She has a big American flag, and she has a big spotlight there. So that's why I have that curtain over the blinds. And so even if her light is on, I don't see it. I mean, and you know, there's my pillow down there, you know, and I'm down. So when that orb shone his light, I felt like after thinking about it right afterwards, it was like I felt like it wanted my attention, and it shone right smack in my face.
Right.
You know, down on the pillow. I mean, it was so unusual because when I first saw the light, I thought, oh, maybe it's I mean, I live in a military town. We have the airport, we have the Air Force, we have all that stuff going on. And it's not unusual to have helicopters, usually not 2:30 in the morning, but you know, that was my first thought, you know, was that maybe there was a low flight, which would be an unusual flight path for that low. And that's why I looked outside, because it was just staying on my face. And once I got situated there, it had, that's where I saw it.
Right. And you can even see here, even though this is a daytime shot, there's no street lights or
No,
any lighting
nothing.
at all. Yeah.
No.
Wow. Okay. So folks might want to ask you stuff. So please feel free, guys, whoever's ever out there who wants to ask Laura something about this or anything else, I'm sure she's fine with. But thanks, Taryn, by the way. Teamwork makes the dream work there.
Yay. Hey, Loanne.
On the pictures. Sister. And Loanne's here. What's going on, sister? Really, double sister for Laura there.
Yeah, that's my baby sister.
That's awesome. So first of all, very large, and I know exactly what you mean if folks don't know how you're trying to describe it. And there are various pictures and videos. People are getting some really, really good videos of exactly what you're talking about, which is they appear as it just looks like a light in the sky until you like if you're zooming in with a camera, at least it's kind of a blurry light, but then if you zoom in closer and then these details start to come out, like the innards, you know, of whatever it is, and it's moving inside, or it's very complex, right? There's a lot of stuff in there. Don't know what it is. People have opinions and whatnot, but it's definitely not just a solid ball. I mean, there's something going on, right?
It definitely pulsed. It definitely moved, but it looked like I immediately recognized this rotating bands of movement, and we've seen that on videos.
Yeah, you do, and you can find them pretty easily. X is really good about that. When we went through Ezekiel, because you mentioned that, a lot of Christians go to, a lot of non-Christians actually go to that, even though they really haven't read it recently or ever. But but that the way that's described, those circular things about how like a concentric circle or like a how did I when I taught with that, what the heck did I use, a gyroscope?
Yeah, like a gyroscope.
Yeah, so
That's a perfect example. Yep.
if you know what that is, that's what it reminds me of. Just to things are going like all around, but it's not the frame. The outside is not actually doing anything or going anywhere, right? Did you see? You didn't see it go anywhere, right?
No, it just disappeared.
It was just there. I mean, it was just sitting there when you first saw it, and it stayed there.
Yep.
And then it just kind of like flattened out. Almost.
Yeah, it kind of went like
From
this,
a circle to
and then it was gone.
Yeah. Well,
so then you told me that up in Littleton at 7:30 that previous night, they had a sighting.
Yes, right, because that just reminded me of something I just saw the night before, or some video was shared or picture or whatever, from not your town, but not too far from your town.
Straight north of me, way up north.
Yeah, and it was several of them.
Yep.
Not just the one. But who's to say that couldn't have been part of the team or whatever. So yeah, and not to yeah, dude, indeed, thank you. It's not easy to share these things when your normal community of folks isn't receptive, or doesn't know what to do with you after that, right? And that's kind of I feel it, I know it. But I'm very fascinated. Clearly, I think we all should be very, very fascinated. So, just my I'm trying to think of your average person's question out there. So, like, as a believer, and if you are of the persuasion that these are evil and demonic things, whatever they are, do you assume that you would have picked up on that? Would you have discerned some type of negative something from it?
Yep. Because I've watched some of these videos, and especially since my experience, and some of the close-up videos, I get a real hinky feeling about some of them. But even I guess I always expected that if I were ever to see a UFO, it'd be one of those ones way up a mile in the air, and I'd be watching them play around or something. But this was so unique to me that it has made me really rethink. Clearly there's something going on. I think some of it's man-made. Is there another civilization that's here that we're not aware of? We've talked about, what's that term about? What's that Earth term that you've been using before?
Not a hidden civilization. Alternate. What the heck? Somebody help me out. Taryn, help me out.
Yeah, there's that term that you're starting to use. Where they're here.
Breakaway civilization.
Yeah, like
crypto-terrestrials?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
So I know people are talking about that. I don't know what they are. I felt because I didn't have a strong reaction, it was just more like, that was so cool. To me, I felt it was maybe angelic. I do. I think we are dealing with good and bad. And I also think we're dealing with human tech. And then you have that outlier of those whatever. Because clearly there's metal saucers and all that. I've never seen a saucer. This was not a saucer. It was alive. It was definitely alive.
I was just going to say that. So in your best way of understanding it, was it a form of life or was it a construction of some kind of technology?
No, it was a life form. It was alive. And I don't know. I was kind of hoping it would have been an angel or something because I have questions, So they would have been cool.
Yeah, join the club, right? Yep. Who wouldn't want to hang out some more?
But it was so quick. I was disappointed because I really wanted to get a video. So I don't know.
What do you say? It lasted a minute or 2 or 3?
Yeah, it couldn't have been longer than no more than 5 minutes total. And it wasn't long enough for me because my phone was on the charger in the other part of the house. So I would not have had time. I didn't want to lose it.
Well, I mean, there's so many accounts of things like that, and people either forget their phones or it's just not around, or they try to use it and they don't work.
Yeah.
Just for that one time only. Doesn't work. So there's something intelligent, no matter how we want to understand that word.
I do think there's disclosure coming. I really do. Um, honestly, I think that when I really thought about things, if the government's not going to disclose, they're going to continue to him and ha and muck about. I think whoever's behind all this is going to disclose it for them.
Right.
I feel it's coming. I sense it. I feel it. And what's really interesting is that I would say the last 2 weeks when I go outside, and the sky's really clear and all that, you know, I like to go outside with a cup of coffee, either late at night or very early in the morning. It's very quiet. I can talk to the Lord and I pray, drink my coffee, do some reading. But the last couple of weeks, every time I go outside, I'm compelled to look up for some reason. I can't say why, but I'm compelled to. And it's not the I'm expecting Jesus to come back any second thing. It's not that.
Right. Right.
I just sense something's going on. And I think if we're dealing with angelic stuff, and I've talked to you about it before, I think there's going to come a point, because we know in end time prophecies and the way Jesus spoke and the things to expect, we're supposed to expect some pretty interesting things. I didn't think about UFOs, but you know, I think that sometimes, I've even mentioned this in some of your podcasts, where you watch these orbs and it's like they're going back and forth, or there's like a battle in the air.
Right.
And we've shared pictures about Nuremberg, you know, what happened. Is it Nuremberg that happened over that? And pictures from the past. I think sometimes we do witness some kind of spiritual warfare, perhaps, and it more and more coming into our space-time continuum. That's what I kind of think.
That's the Star Trek version of the Bible right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
So well, maybe it's not needless to say, but would you classify, and I know this answer, but would you classify yourself as a conservative Christian?
Absolutely.
I mean, in every way imaginable.
Oh, yeah, because Jesus told us there would be a lot of deception in the last days. So what better way to get people's brains off of what's true, and or you know, and humankind, I mean, no wonder we're called sheep. I mean, ooh, look at that. You know, it's like a squirrel moment.
Yeah.
So we like things that are flashy and different, unusual, scary even. So since I've been a believer, I've learned to be more discerning. And if I didn't believe that this was a healthy encounter, something got allowed, or it's an angel, whatever, I would have never shared it. Or I would have shared it with you in fear. You would have heard me speak in fear.
And you would have no problem saying this is a negative thing. It's
exactly
demons or whatever. I just tell the world, right? Get it out there.
Yeah, and I think that some of these orbs, and like Chris Bledsoe, for example, with his book, The Orbs of God, or whatever it's called.
UFO of God, yeah.
UFO of God. That guy seems like such a sweetheart. He really does. But you know what? He's really deluded. And I got his book because it kept coming up. And so I thought I was going to read it. And as I started reading it, the first question was, why was it so traumatic for him and his family to see all these orbs in different colors? Why? Why was it so traumatic? If it's from God, because when you go through encounters with God through the scriptures or outside the scriptures, you know, when people talk about, well, I had a vision from God or whatever, one of the first things that is said if they see like an angel or a being or whatever is, don't be afraid, and they acknowledge God. The thing when I started reading his book, he never acknowledges and the UFOs that he supposedly are communicating with, and the lady he communicates with that he now calls Hathor,
Right.
which is an occultic name.
Mm-hmm.
And his son, Chris Jr., is super duper heavily involved in this whole New Age occultic kind of Egyptian type thinking. They never acknowledge Jesus. They never acknowledge the Lord. They never acknowledge the one message that, I mean, it doesn't match up to biblical narrative. It just doesn't at all. And now he's talking about this lady, and now people are talking about their Marian apparitions and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's really obvious. Guys, can't you see what this is? But a lot of people are getting sucked into this. And now he's claiming that, I think it's next Easter 2026,
Mm-hmm.
when the Star Regulus is in a certain place and all this and all
Nothing
that.
new agey about that at all.
Oh, no. And the pyramid and the Sphinx and all this. And I'm like, I think I remember reading this back in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, it keeps getting
It's a
recycled.
repeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So anyway, that's an excellent. I didn't know if you wanted to go there, but that's if someone were to say, "Oh, well, this is just like the, what Chris Bledsoe was saying." It's not.
Mm-mm.
We don't think. We agree, Laura and I, that he is not a source you can trust on this. To be honest with you, and that's not to say anything about him personally. He's just
Deluded right now.
a little deluded and drunk on it. Yeah. And so, but I just wanted to be also clear that this is a long-term, you've been a believer for not to be insulting, for a long time, and have a discerning spirit and a discerning mind. And I've seen that a lot over many issues. And your mind is not made up about X, Y, or Z about this. You just know if something's of the enemy, you're gonna know it, or you're gonna somehow be told that God is gonna let you know this is not cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So being that it's said, you got to basically come down on the side or the conclusion, whatever loose conclusion, that whatever you saw either is from God somehow directly, or it's some kind of neutral thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But there's no, if it's evil, like God did not tell you, and you did not, your discernment was turned off, like there was something is really wrong. If it was, and you just missed it, I don't think you missed anything.
Mm-mm.
And you don't think you did.
Nope.
And no one who knows you would think that.
No, and I could talk about it, and I'm not freaked out. And when I think about it, I just keep thinking, man, if that were an angel, I would have served him a cup of coffee and let's talk. I got questions,
Yeah, no doubt. T-Rex actually was making a pretty good point here. Like always, biblical angels from God did inspire fear in believers. Don't be afraid was the first thing several said. That's correct and accurate. You would think it's because they look not normal, or scary in some respect, or powerful, or who knows, but definitely different, where it's not a person, and a human would feel very threatened or inadequate at that moment, where they would have to say, don't be afraid, I'm not going to hurt you or whatever. But that never even occurred here, so it's just like, wow, you're nice, you're pretty one, right? It's just like wearing a flower or a bird or something. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Is there anything else that you want to get out to the folks about that encounter, or anything similar? Or
I just caution people to make snap judgments. We just don't have enough information. Right. And if anybody sees an orb or a cluster of orbs, if it instills fear, I would obviously check that. I wouldn't invite them. I wouldn't go out and be like Chris Bledsoe and his
Right.
son and call them into existence. Don't do that because you
Right.
don't know what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
I think we really need to. The scriptures are not only telling us about stuff past, now, and future, but it reveals God's character. And if you're reading his word and thinking on it, meditating on it, you're going to know his character. So if you have an experience like this, you should be able to recognize God's character in some way or form, in my opinion. So for me, I wasn't freaked out. It was a very beautiful experience. Didn't last very long. I wished it would have. I wished it would have come back.
Mm-hmm.
And don't immediately equate something to Satan. Don't give him that much power over you. Just
Amen.
don't do it.
Amen. Yeah.
Just kind of be agnostic about this whole UFO thing and just pray for wisdom.
I think that's right on. And even if you could say, even if you believe it was an angel or something holy, right? But we have instruction on that, even to not worship or seek after angels, regardless of they're sent by the Lord or not. That's just not where our focus should be. So,
and that's what I X'd on to Chris Bledsoe, the scripture, and then I tried to reach out to him personally, and just told him the same thing. I said, you really need to be careful because, Paul says what in Galatians, even if an angel comes to you with any other message, any other gospel,
right,
don't listen, don't do it.
Right.
And don't invite them, guys. Don't do it.
Amen. I mean, that's the kind of the bottom line from you, from me, I mean, I don't know what I saw exactly, but maybe when mine was in the daytime, so there was no light. It just kind of looked reflective, like a silver or chrome type of thing. I definitely didn't see anything inside it. Then again, I was traveling, at 80 miles an hour, whatever, or 60 under the speed limit. Whatever it was, the point. So I couldn't really get a good gaze at it, but it didn't look like it had anything going on within it, and I couldn't really zoom in and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's the same thing you saw, or if it's the same type of thing. Maybe it was different.
I think there's government tech stuff going on. I do. I mean, like,
but just like yours, mine just disappeared. It literally just went from there to not there.
That's what mine did.
Yeah, it didn't fly away. It didn't float away. It didn't gradually do anything. Mine was it was there, and then it wasn't. Like you're saying. So I don't know what kind of technology can do that.
I don't know. There's definitely something going on, but I think we need to be agnostic about it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's awesome. I love that. Love that story. And so I guess we're kind of doing a little balancing act of, I don't think that was demons. We could both say that now, right? I just don't think so. Whatever you think, I just didn't come up. But also, let's not to drag his name through the mud, but don't do the Bledsoe or call for them, psionic, whatever the heck is happening right now out there. Don't do that. You don't know what you're messing with. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what they are. It could be a negative or a neutral or what would you call it? They don't care either way. Could be that.
I mean, go ahead and keep filming it if you see it. I mean, I keep looking, and I live near NORAD. You would think these things would be hanging around here all the time, like over the nuclear sites and over various sites across the world and stuff. But no, not here. Or I hear about reports and something. Did you see that last night at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night? I'm like, I'm always asleep.
I miss it again. I miss everything. Except for that. So okay, one last question then. Do you feel, I think you did tell me this, you feel like whatever that was actually wanted you to see it?
Yes.
Like
it woke me up.
Yeah.
It zapped me right in the face, right in the eyeballs. I mean, there's no way because I was playing around with a flashlight and things like that at night and looking in, and there's no way I could have angled anything, even when I was standing on top of a bunch of bricks and to see what I could do. I would not have been able to aim down in the middle of my bed, because you have your bed, and you usually sleep on the set. Well, I do, and I have pillows, and because I love my pillows, but the angle of it, It was so direct. It's like, bam, and it woke me up. And it takes a lot to wake me up. I'm just a hard sleeper.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it was
There it is.
intentional and enough where it shook you out.
Startled me because I thought maybe somebody was driving up. That was my first thought. Somebody's
Yeah,
driving
someone's
up
got your
the
bright light
yard.
right in your yard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it was for you, basically, like whatever it was. It wanted you to see it. It woke you up in order to see it. Now, who knows about all that? We're not speculating on what all that's about, but
no, and I sleep fine since then. I don't have nightmares. I don't
Mhm.
have a lack of eating. I don't feel
There's no orbs
anxious.
flying around your house,
No,
causing you trouble,
no,
right?
no.
Those stuff that it has been known to happen. FYI, right? Like, so that's why I wanted to follow up with you initially. Like, are you sure you're cool with this? You know, it's nothing, no ramifications from that.
No.
So,
But it was
like
definitely a living thing. It was living.
in your view,
I'm
living thing,
convinced
no
it
doubt.
was living, no doubt.
Well, things move around like that. It certainly says something's going on.
Yep.
Like a cell almost, doesn't it? I mean, like, right? If you're looking at a cell,
Yeah.
Close up, and you see all those little doodads in there, and
Well, I didn't see a bunch of little doodads, but I saw those concentric, those ring things.
Right.
It was pulsing, and the rings.
But there was movement.
It was definite movement, and it was the most beautiful amber golden color. And then when it started to appear to do this, it turned a little bit more rusty colored and gone.
Wow. There you go. All right. Well, friends, obviously comment at any point if you're watching this later or whatever. We'll do our best to get back with you. Miss Laura's always somewhere to address your questions. So anyway, leave those if you want. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. It's a fantastic story. And obviously you and I will continue our offline conversations. But if folks want to just stay tuned, Laura will be, she's on X. What's your X handle? Bond Servant?
Bond Servant. Except it's misspelled. It's Bond Servant.
Oh, like a savant, servant.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Okay. Well, people can find you there through me as well. So anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For this, and obviously, if it ever happens again, I know you'll let me know, and we can bring you back.
I just really want to emphasize, people, please don't invite them. Okay, just that's my biggest thing. Just don't do that, please.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked into that, because you don't know what you're dealing with.
Amen. I agree with that 100%. All right, my friend. I will see you on the flip side. Thank you, Miss Laura. Until next time. Love you very much. Thank all y'all for tuning in today. Please, again, share this if you can. Maybe you have a family member, a friend, a church member, what have you, who is interested in this or might be, or maybe needs to learn a bit more and maybe see another perspective about what's going on with all this stuff. Go ahead and share this with them, and we'll see where this goes, because we do want to continue the conversation for sure. If you look down in the description area below, you'll see a couple links. Number one, to the podcast itself. There's a page with all our episodes, but then also on the page is a form you can fill out if you have had an experience or have seen something that maybe you haven't told anyone, or you feel embarrassed, or you don't know who to talk about it with. You can go ahead and fill out that form. It'd be anonymous if you'd like. It's no problem. But I'll see it, and if we can talk about it or pray about it, whatever. Just go ahead and use that if you want. And then we want to let folks know, especially if you're in a church leadership position or like a denominational responsibility. You have people, the sheep, right? People who you're responsible for educating or preparing for things and spiritual growth and things like that. We have a thing we're trying to roll out called UAP Council. It's like the council of so-and-so, right? In Christian history. I think this deserves that type of treatment where we can discuss together, and maybe on a big scale, like what are you going to tell your people if, I don't know, 1 million, orange orbs show up and talk to the whole world or whatever? Like, what is that going to mean? How are you going to address that? What does that mean for, are you talking about it with your congregation or whatever? Even if you're just an individual Christian and you just really feel compelled that you have to talk to others about this, go ahead and go to that site. It's called uapcouncil.org. gmail.com, and we want to commence with getting together on that. Okay. All right. That's it, friends. This has been Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Thank you to T-Rex for helping out as a producer on this show, even though she didn't know she would be one today with those pictures and stuff. But we do thank every one of y'all. Thanks for the support. Again, like and share and all that good stuff. Until next time, this is Christopher Manti for Wings of the Eagle and Unsealed, the official podcast. All right. Until next time. Bye-bye.